I think it's pretty well accepted that when it comes to dividing people, politics and religion will do that. And it seems like that should be enough. However, when you're talking to cruisers, there's much more. And in today's episode, I want to talk about 10 issues that divide cruisers. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I am your host, Tony, here to guide you through the murk and mire of divisive cruise issues. These are issues that will cause people to fall out, to divide, to not be friends anymore. And the reason I know this is that after making 2,600 cruising videos, I've seen it all. I've seen people just go at each other in the comments. And so, there are some topics that divide. Let's start with a big one. Number one, dress code. I have seen so many fights about cruise ship dress code. You've got the old stalwarts or the fancy new that say, look, you should always dress for dinner on the cruise ship. And then you have the other side of the coin that says, no, I'm on vacation. I don't need to dress for dinner on the cruise ship. I don't think this will ever be resolved. This is one of those age-old debates. I certainly prescribe to the whatever the dress code is, you should follow it. All of these things, I'm kind of a follow the rules kind of person. But if the dress code doesn't say you have to dress formally, then don't dress formally. So I think this aspiration to some time gone by where everybody wore tuxedos and flowing gowns to dinner, while it's nice and romantic, it's not reality, but certainly an issue that people tend to divide over. Another issue that divides cruisers is the philosophy about the rescue at sea. This happens from time to time. Cruise ships will be called into service to help assist a vessel in distress in the open sea. And it gets interesting when those distress calls come from that area between Florida and Cuba. This seems to be when people take exception to the rescue at sea. Look, we're all adults here. We know what's happening. People are trying to escape Cuba and enter into the United States. And well, if there ever is a hotbed issue, it certainly is U.S. immigration. And some people seem to just be offended that there are an oppressed people that would like to have a better life. And shame on them for trying to get to the United States. And then, of course, you got the other side of the coin that says, well, man, we should help these people out. They're risking their life at sea to try to find a better life for themselves and their family. It's an interesting conflict, of course, one we know that will not be resolved. And it is one of those issues that I've seen in the comments that certainly tends to cause cruise division. A third issue that divides cruisers are people with mobility issues, which just seems ridiculous to say out loud. There are people upset with people with mobility issues. Certainly they don't seem upset with the circumstance of the person having a mobility issue, but they're upset with the way that their mobility issue impacts them. Primarily, I'm talking about people who are upset with scooter people. They believe that people with the scooters are taking up too much space on the cruise ship. People with scooters are too aggressive trying to get in and out of the elevator. People with scooters don't pay attention to other people and run them over with their scooters. And then, of course, conversely, the people with mobility issues are like, hey, we have mobility issues. What do you expect us to do? We have to drive these scooters around so that we can have some sort of vacation. This is one of those topics that's really wild when it goes off the rails. You see people saying, well, yeah, sometimes I do hit people with my scooter because people are insensitive to my mobility issue. And then you have other people saying, look, if you can't walk around a cruise ship, don't get on a cruise ship. Number 4 on my list of issues that divide cruisers are environmental issues. It's guaranteed anytime I include a story about shore power or alternate fuels, there's a good amount of comments talking about how the whole thing's just a sham, that the emissions have to occur somewhere, that LNG is dangerous, and that any alternate fuel is no better than diesel. And then, of course, the extreme counter to that rhetoric is that anytime you talk about the environment, there's always a decent amount of people in the comments saying, good, cruise ships are killing everything. They're killing the whales. They're polluting the skies. Go fish cannot survive because of cruise ships. But both ends of the spectrum on that environmental one. But it is an issue that does tend to divide cruisers. Are we ready to puff pass on issue number 5? Smoking of tobacco and smoking of the wacky tobacco. Yeah, smoking is a big issue that divides cruisers. The basic division is whether smoking should be allowed on cruise ships. Of course, people that smoke say yes. We pay real money to go on cruises, and we should have a valid accommodation for our smoking habit. We shouldn't just be regulated to an overhang outside in the elements. We should have legit smoking facilities that we can use 24 hours a day. And then, of course, the other folks say, look, secondhand smoke is a killer. I shouldn't have to breathe in your smoke. Your habit should not impact me. Smoking has been banned in most indoor areas in most major countries around the world. And so I should not have to deal with smoking on the cruise ship. And then you got a whole nother contingency out there that can barely open their eyes because they're waking and baking, saying, look, man, weed is legal where I live. Why can't it be legal on the cruise ship? And of course, the alternate to that is it's not legal everywhere, and especially not every country that you're going to. So slow down there, Cheech and Chong. You don't need your wacky tobacco on the cruise ship. Number 6 is another vice that many cruisers enjoy to imbibe in. I'm talking about alcohol, and specifically, I'm talking about whether it is cool to sneak alcohol on board. Now, I think the fact that the word sneak is in the phrase sneak alcohol on board, I think that's indicative that it's against the rules. But when you poll the masses, when you talk about sneaking alcohol on board, division occurs. Large group of people out there say no sneaking of alcohol on board. It's immoral. It's unethical. It's against the rules. Does that make it illegal? If you want to get your drink on the cruise ship, you got to pay the piper. You got to buy the drinks. You got to buy the drink package. And then there's another contingency of people out there that says, well, look, I think we should stick it to the man. Have you seen the price of these drink packages? Charging 100 times % more for drinks than you could get it on land. That's price gouging. I say to heck with the man. I'm going to figure out a way to sneak my alcohol on board. And that makes it a divisive issue. I always find it interesting in the conversation about people's vices, how there's not more talk about how people's alcohol consumption has a negative effect on people. I understand it from a smoking perspective. It's right there in the air. Of course, somebody else's smoke has a negative effect. But if you spend any amount of time with somebody that's an angry drunk, alcohol consumption can also have a negative impact on other cruisers. But less vitriol toward the drunk, I guess, than the smoker. It's weird. Number 7, video games and internet usage. I'm just lumping the technology together. I've seen some pretty interesting Fallout type discussions over video games and internet usage. I've seen somebody completely lose their mind because there was a parent that suggested they wanted to bring their video game system on board to keep their child occupied while on a cruise. And man, what a conversation ensued there. What kind of parent are you placating your child with technology? Why don't you spend time with them? Why don't you read them a book? Why don't you teach them to spin gold on an old-fashioned loom? You're on vacation, for goodness sakes. And then, of course, you got the other side of the coin that says, yeah, I'm on vacation. My kid likes to play video games. We live in a world of technology. Shouldn't the technology exist so that my child could enjoy his video games? And then likewise, conversations about Wi-Fi. Heaven forbid you suggest there's fast Wi-Fi on a cruise ship so that you could experience life on a ship the same way you experience it on land. Well, why go on vacation if you want to check your email? Why go on vacation if you want to look at social media? This is about escaping all of that and being on the sea. And I think both opinions are valid, but I think having options for both is also valid. If you want to completely disconnect and put yourself out on a pool chair and, let the world go by without staying connected, I think that's wonderful. But at the same time, if you're somebody who wants to stay connected, then I think that should be an option for you also. But I'm not going to fall out with myself, even though I have both of those opinions coexisting inside of me. But I've seen people who will definitely fall out over video games and the internet. Number 8, gambling, testing the fates. You want to see an interesting debate in the comments? Talk a little bit about gambling. There's some hardcore gamblers out there that say my cruise experience is all about gambling. I love to go out and gamble. Because I gamble, I get to cruise more because I'm racking up points and I'm getting free cruises. But not everybody's so keen on gambling. You don't have to search very hard in a comment thread where gambling is mentioned, where you're going to get at least 1 or 2 of the same comment that says this: I work too hard for my money to throw it away on gambling. But that whole I work hard for my money and I refuse to throw it away conversation doesn't really hold very well for cruisers, because essentially every activity that you do on a cruise ship is an experience-based activity, and you could make a strong argument that all of those activities are just throwaway money. I got a massage at the spa. Okay, good experience, but you didn't have to have it. You threw away the money. I went to specialty dining instead of just eating the included food. Okay, I got a steak that I'm not going to keep with me forever. You essentially threw that money away. I went to a Scotch tasting. I think the fair argument in this case, and probably in most of these things, is just saying, I don't like doing that, and so I don't choose to do it. It's always funny when people take like some sort of moral high ground to justify, I don't gamble because it's a waste of money. But you waste money other places. I don't know. Look, I'm not here to champion gambling, but it is a divisive issue when it comes to cruising. Number 9, can we talk about the division that happens amongst cruisers when we talk about peer runners? I think the majority of people say to heck with peer runners. How dare they make me late? How dare they make the cruise ship wait? How dare they make thousands of people wait? And they say all of this without knowing the circumstance. The assumption is that, they're just late because they're losers, not that they're late because something happened to them. There's a small percentage of people that do consider that. What if somebody was a part of an accident? Or what if there was some catastrophe that caused these people to come back late from the cruise ship? Well, who cares? That's what some people would say. Look, I get it. I guess it's human nature. It's fun to make fun of people. That's what I gather from my experience in this lifetime. It's always good times when we can make fun of people, and the amount of people that we can make fun of have become less and less over time. But fortunately, we can still make fun of peer runners. I think we can still make fun of ill-predicting weathermen. And then I think there are some carnival workers that we can make fun of, people that work at carnivals. I think you can still make fun of the guy that runs the tilt-a-whirl. But yeah, the list is getting smaller. Now we got one more issue that divides cruisers on the list. And well, before I reveal it to you, let me just quickly invite you to subscribe if you like staying up to date with everything going on in cruising. And if you'd like it all through the Tony filter, please consider subscribing. That way YouTube will push out a notification saying, hey, Big T's back with another hot take. Hot take Tony in the house. Subscribe, notification bell on. Thank you in advance. Number 10, probably one of the most divisive cruise topics out there, gratuities. Do you follow the cruise line system where they're going to assign gratuities to you, asking you to pay it regardless of the service that you've had? Or do you go to customer service, remove those assigned gratuities, and tip however you want to tip? These people work so hard. Make sure you tip them. Don't you know that TIP stands for to ensure proper service? And so if you render the money without knowing what the service is, you got the whole thing backwards, that kind of thing. It's divisive. If you boldly go out there and say, look, I remove my gratuities and do what I want, people will judge you. People will get onto you and a fight will ensue. Always fun reading in the comments. There you go. Those are just 10 issues that divide cruisers. There's certainly others. What are some other ones that come to mind that I didn't mention here? What do you think about this list? Leave a comment below. Thanks so much for spending some time talking about cruising with me today. Show your support for this episode by hitting the like button. This is Tony for La Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.